Hello, hello. It's your astrologer friend Kimberly coming to you with the new moon in Scorpio chart interpretation. I'm holding a microphone really close to my lips because there is a jackhammer outside of my window, and I hope that doesn't interrupt your viewing experience and your takeaways from this video. Now, I'm going to go through sign by sign horoscope interpretations for your sun and rising sign. So click on the other videos. This is going to be a deeper dive into the chart of the moment, the macro, the collective, what is going on. So if you enjoy me waxing lyrical, stick around. But if you just want to know what this new moon in Scorpio means for your zodiac sign, just click on one of the other 12 videos. But you know me, I love going into the details. So we're going to get into it. We're going to pull up the chart of the moment. We are right in it, guys. I'm really excited. This is pretty much the most impressive and serendipitous and exciting new moon that I've ever seen, which is really saying something. So, as you can see, this is the new moon in Scorpio chart drawn up for the 20th of November at about 3:45 in Japan, where I am. And let's just look here over at the new moon. We've got the sun and the moon in Scorpio at 28 degrees. They're, of course, meeting at the exact same degree and minute, 28 degrees, 11 minutes. And right up between them, right, not between them, right up close and personal, almost between them, is Mercury. Little messenger Mercury, literally at 28 degrees. He's at 27 minutes, but I would say that is a very, very poignant conjunction, a triple conjunction between Sun, Moon, and Mercury, all at the end of zodiac sign. Scorpio, water sign, fixed sign, Scorpio. Also co-present with the Sun, Moon, and Mercury retrograde, we have Black Moon Lilith, which is an imaginary point of the moon's. It's the moon's apogee. It's not an asteroid. It's not a planet. It is a hypothetical point of the moon, representing a rebelliousness and a refusal to kowtow, a refusal to be submissive or subversive. It's a refusal to submit. It's a very feminine archetype, a wild and witchy kind of archetype that's wrapped up with the Black Moon. So this is super interesting given all the news around the Epstein files, because we are literally engaging in the topics that are very feminine and fighting spirit going on there. And we also have Venus at 16 degrees there as well. So we've got this stellium, this strong stellium of activity going on in Scorpio. Again, Scorpio is a water sign. Scorpio is a fixed sign. You might imagine a very still lake, a mysterious pool of water that we do not know what's going on under the surface. Now, of course, when you gaze upon a lake, you might see lily pads floating at the top. You might see beautiful lotus flowers on top. You might see a lot on top, but you do not know what's going on beneath until you take a more probing deep dive into that zodiac sign. So, just as with the lake, Scorpio people or people with Scorpio dominant charts might have a facade or an outer shell that looks one way, but actually there is a lot going on underneath the surface. Take Scorpio new moon baby RuPaul, who is theatrical and we might say masks through costume, through playful, fun demeanor, activity. RuPaul is, of course, the most prolific drag artist in the world. And so RuPaul paints on this charismatic visage and puts on outfits that are colorful and basically project one image to the masses. But If you've ever listened to an interview with RuPaul, there is so much going on beneath the surface, right? And if you haven't, I strongly encourage you to. Some other people that are born on a Scorpio new moon include Whoopi Goldberg, who is, of course, the star of Ghost with Demi Moore, who is interestingly born on a Taurus full moon. They're both Scorpios, one on a new moon, one on a full moon. We've also got Katy Perry and Alexa Chung and Bjork, all born on a Scorpio new moon. And I'll put some more Scorpio new moon babies into the newsletter or underneath here as well. But it's just interesting to see how people who are born on a Scorpio new moon are perhaps projecting this colorful image. Katy Perry with her cartoonish qualities and costumes that she has. Alexa Chung using fashion as her armor, perhaps. I also like to think of Scorpio not only as the scorpion with the hard armor, the tough outer shell, but as a beetle, and I do specialize in fashion astrology. And so with Scorpio, the leathers, the tough garments that offer some protection from the world. Super interesting. Okay, that is not all that's going on. So let's move swiftly on. Sorry, chatterbox, Kimberly. If you want your just basic horoscope, skip to the other videos or stay with me. Stay with me, guys. So we got that Mercury retrograde. As I said, the Epstein files are a hot topic on our lips at the moment. And Mercury retrograde, Mercury, of course, is the planet that governs writing, emails, commerce, communication, exchanges, our cerebral cortex, our cerebral functioning, our ability to connect and develop rapport and speak and converse. That is Mercury. Mercury is the winged messenger planet. Mercury is the guardian of paperwork and of files and of filing systems and of organization, of slotting everything into its correct folder. And Mercury retrograde is an epic time to go back, to revisit, to reflect, or to rejig, or to go on into those files and pick them out. So how fascinating that we have this prolific Scorpio new moon with the sun and the moon exactly conjunct Mercury, shining its light on cerebral functioning. So whatever you're thinking about at the moment is probably hot and heavily in reflection of that in your chart, but also collectively, we are all talking about the Epstein files. Well, I'm not talking about it to anyone in particular. I haven't really had a conversation with another human being for a while. Joking. No, I haven't really been, chewing the cud about the Epstein files, but, it's on all of our collective minds because it's been so widely published in the news, let's say. So, what else we have here going on is this really fascinating um, two planets here right at the very end of their zodiac signs. They both are retrograde, and we have a lot of retrograde energy going on. But Neptune and Uranus are both at 29 minutes, 29 degrees, 29 minutes of their respective signs, Pisces and Taurus, which is wild, which is wacky, which is again revolutionary and rebellious. So we've got new beginnings with the new moon, fresh start energy, but also a revisitation with Mercury retrograde. We've got Black Moon Lilith, who is not to be subversive. She is the antithesis of kowtowing. She will not, lay down for anyone. And Uranus is the rebel spirit, the anarchist. Goodness gracious, Mercury's retrograde. Uranus is the anarchist quality of planets. It's the rebel, it's the revolutionary, it's the technologically advanced, it's the topsy-turvy planet who spins on its axis. It is literally a planet on a tilt. And Uranus represents where things are changing radically. It brings what's controversial and it makes it normal. It brings us into brings conversations to pass where basically something that might have seemed very unusual or an outlier is now being mainstreamed. And so Uranus has basically made its way through Taurus. Neptune has made its way through Pisces. We have had a long long journey with these two planets. Specifically, since 2012, Neptune's been in Pisces, and since 2019, Uranus has been in Taurus. So you might feel you're at the very end of a journey, and you would be right if you were feeling that, because we've all collectively experienced such a long walk with Neptune and Uranus going through those signs. And the fact that these two are in conversation, they're in dialogue here because, they're in a sextile, a perfect sextile, no less. These two are conspiring with their energies. So we've got radical rebelliousness and we've got powerful disillusion and dreamlike tendencies and this longing, this, watery power of Neptune. And by proxy, Saturn is attached to Neptune at 25 degrees there. And then we've got the karmic north node, which tells us that this isn't, that the eclipses are taking place in Pisces and Virgo, but we are really drawing in energy of Pisces. So we can't look at this Scorpio new moon without considering the Pisces house of our horoscope and what's going on in Taurus and Jupiter in Cancer, also retrograde. So if we look at all these retrograde planets, we've got Jupiter retrograde, Uranus retrograde, Neptune retrograde, Saturn retrograde, and Mercury retrograde. If we think about the long stretch towards the end of the year, that would be a really good way to put this into perspective. We are in those final breaths of reflection. So new moons are really great new beginnings, but they're also really quiet times to get still, to meditate, to plant seeds, but also to hunker down in a way where we're not necessarily getting the shovel out to plant a seed or write down our manifestations. We could just be consolidating our energy and really honing in on that area for focus. So again, watch your personal horoscope video to see what area of the chart that pertains to for you, right? So the fact that these planets are tied to both Neptune and Saturn is in turn tied to Jupiter, really means that our collective is popping off, right? So, I mean, really, the Epstein files is the major one, the major flavor of the day, right? Like it's the major topic of conversation. And, we're dealing with the heads of state, we're dealing with the most powerful people in the public eye. And yeah, it's possible that what's going on now in the future will be not normalized. I don't say goes to say that we're all going to think that that's normal behavior, but I think that we will be not very surprised at what's gone down. Like in future generations, we'll be like, of course, that person was that way. Of course, this and that, For me, I personally have 3 planets in Scorpio, and I've never been surprised at any of this stuff because it's very, very lifelong experiences to me dealing with the abuse and situations that have been going on, right? Like to me, I'm just like, of course, men are predators. Of course, like these people in power are complete mm-mm-mm. I don't know if it docks you for saying words. I think it does. But nevertheless, it's not a big surprise to me. Like it's completely believable stuff. So I think that the power of Uranus in opposition to this is that it's this huge radical expose that will normalize the imbalance of power and the hands of power. And just, Scorpio, remember, is that lake where we're reaching down to touch the depths, the absolute dregs of the mysteries that lie deep underneath the water. It's scary sometimes. The fear of the unknown can be terrifying when we touch something slimy at the bottom of the pond and we're like, was that an eel or was it a piece of seaweed? Who knows? We know it's slimy, we know it's disconcerting, and we've taken a chance, we've taken a risk to investigate and probe. And it's the same with these situations that are so disconcerting that we are touching on these days. So I'm going to wrap it up here. Let's go sign by sign. But, needless to say, this is a very, very powerful new moon. Consider it a new beginning energy, but it's a new beginning that is absolutely swirling in endings too. So we can move forward with a consideration that we have already covered so much ground. And it's almost like that final push, that final revelatory energy that is so exciting and so plugged into what's going on collectively. Let's also look at the full moon in Scorpio of 2027. That'll be 20th of May, 2027, and it is the corresponding full moon to match the new moon. And so if you have planets, you can see here the full moon will be at 29 degrees 13 minutes, exactly conjunct Uranus in the new moon chart, and exactly moon conjunct that triple threat there. So a lot of the planets will have moved on, but this moment in 2027 will be a time when we revisit these issues. We will have so moved on. Like the landscape of 2027 is so radically different, but we will have this moment where we are calling back, hearkening back to what's going on now. So you can write that in the diary. You can put that in the diary to see. Maybe it'll be your birthday. Who knows? Like, maybe it's a special auspicious day, a wedding anniversary. You might resonate with the 20th of May. Anyhow, yeah, needless to say, new beginning energy, but new beginnings with a real backpedaling motion that's going on too. So I'm open and available for personal consultations. Please do get in touch. People love them. I love giving them. It is just my absolute joy and pleasure to do so. So with that, let's go on to a sign by sign, guys.